A federal high court in Abuja has restrained the People's Democratic Party, PDP, from holding its planned national convention slated for November the 15th and 16th in Ibadan, Oyo State. The court order issued by Justice Peter Lifu also bars the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC from supervising, monitoring, or recognizing any outcome from the proposed event. The decision followed a suit filed by former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido, who claimed he was unjustly denied the opportunity to purchase the nomination form for the party's national chairmanship, effectively excluding him from the process. Justice Lifu ruled that the PDP failed to comply with statutory requirements, including publishing a convention timetable, describing the process as a breach of due process. The judge held that Lamido stood to suffer greater harm if the convention went ahead unlawfully. This is a third ruling by different judges and courts on the same matter in a space of 2 weeks. Let's get some perspective with the issues bedeviling the PDP. I'm joined now by our party's former national legal advisor, Mark Jacob. Thank you for being with us tonight. From a legal standpoint, how should the PDP be interpreting this 3-court judgment, 2 restraining it and 1 permitting the convention, taking into cognizance that 1 is a federal court and the other is state?
As a lawyer, I'm not happy at all that the judiciary is being pulled into politics. Any serious-minded lawyer will know that these are not good times for the judges involved. Whether we like it or not, it is the judiciary that is on trial now. I see a very terrible shift from the stability we had and some of us thought we had with the last Supreme Court decision regarding political party activities, and the fact that courts should stay off and stay away from meddling in the internal domestic affairs of the political parties. The Supreme Court, in the cases of Jegede, the case of Anyao recently, made it very clear. The cases of Abga and INEC in 2023, the cases are there.
Mark, as displeased as you may be about the ruling is in the public domain. So I'm asking you, how should the party be interpreting this court? What legal risk, perhaps, should the party expect to face if it proceeds with the convention despite the restraining order?
I'm aware that the party has decided to proceed with the convention, and it's basing its decision on the fact that there are 2 decisions of courts of coordinate jurisdiction. The Federal High Court and the High Court of the state are the same, they are of coordinate jurisdiction. So there is none of them that is superior to the other. And when parties or judges or even institutions are confronted with 2 parallel decisions on the same issue, they are at liberty to pick and choose which one to obey. And I believe that that is what the PDP is doing. I won't be surprised if INEC does the same thing, to pick and choose which one to obey. The police, the courts are free, because once you have such coordinate decisions, the gate is open for you to pick and choose, which ought not to be the situation. But like I said at the beginning, when judges refuse to follow the decisions laid out by the superior courts, this is what happens. I don't blame the parties that are before the courts. I blame the judges that also elect not to follow the decisions of the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal. The High Court, the Federal High Court, and the High Court are lower courts to the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. So judges ought to be guided. There are very clear issues that the lower courts should not bother themselves. Once they see those things, they should steer clear.
Okay.
I have read the
in the interest of time, sir, I have to interject. In the interest of time, I wanted you to speak specifically to, you're saying they have the right, but would there be any repercussion for the party should they choose to go ahead with the convention like you have said? And quickly, if you can, your thoughts on the call by the NJC. You obviously are displeased with the rulings to sanction A.L. Akintola, the judge in Oyo State, over what they describe as judicial indiscretion and abuse of office for issuing that ex parte order that contradicted a subsisting judgment of the Federal High Court.
I'm not aware that the NJC has said anything to that effect because I didn't see it anywhere in the mainstream media. Perhaps it is something that people want to hear or they want to petition the NJC. Fine, they have a right to do so. But on the flip side, people should also be quick enough to say that the judges who unilaterally depart from the laid down decisions that flow from the highest court of the land ought to be sanctioned by the NJC before any other person is sanctioned. Because you don't just wake up and go outrightly against the position of the Supreme Court, knowingly that that is the position. It is wrong, and those judges ought to be cautioned. So Motosho also has a question to answer. Why is he kicking against the position of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal that are superior to him? Those are the questions that must be answered. I'm not standing in for Justice Akintola, but he has his own basis of giving the decision, the orders that he issued. But the entire judiciary ought to be questioned, ought to be scrutinized. The judges that are issuing all these orders left, right, and center without reference to existing positions of the Supreme Court ought to be cautioned.
All right, Mark, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.